So I get the fun part of telling you all the examples from the book of what we can do locally to begin to take on this problem and redress segregation in our own communities. But I'll start by saying that a lot of these groups, once they form, they build a biracial coalition, multi-ethnic group. They start by learning about the history of their own community and how their own community came to be segregated, who were the players that segregated the community. And we use Rochester as an example when we go around the country talking about this as one that started that way, mapping out the racial covenants, developing the anti-racist curriculum project. So a lot of other communities have followed that example. Started to research where restrictive covenants existed, and then took that information and to educate their neighbors and their community members to start to understand, because once we start to understand that segregation was so intentionally created, we can start to see that intentional action can begin to undo it. Because when we think that it just happened by accident, we don't have much agency to do anything about it. We think it can only unhappen by accident. But learning the history can help us understand that we have a role to play and an obligation to redress segregation. So that's a beginning step, is the education. So that education can help us understand the history and then inspire us to action. And as my dad said, in Just Action, we describe dozens and dozens of policies and strategies and actions that these local groups can take. And as he said, we don't say what any one group or any one community should start with, because every community is different. But we hope we lay out enough examples that nobody is left thinking that there's nothing to be done, because there's actually a lot that we can do that can have small impacts and build up to larger change on the community level and eventually the national level. So the policies and strategies that we discuss, they do several things. They try to accomplish several goals. And one is to ensure that we don't continue to perpetuate segregation and continue to create segregated communities going forward. So enacting policy change to ensure that we don't do that. And then also to redress the wrongs of the past, to remedy the disparities that exist now because of the past government actions that created segregated communities and provided some communities with more resources than others and impoverished some communities more than others. So we have to do both, look forward and look back and remedy those harms.